Well, good evening, everyone. It is November 21st, 2024, 1 week before Thanksgiving. And I think we're all in a state of Thanksgiving, and because we have so many blessings and so many things to be thankful for. On the road to enlightenment, that's one of our mantras is thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. Say it 3 times and mean it. And just be thankful. Be thankful for your family and your friends and that you're alive on planet Earth. Um, if it snows 3 feet, you'll survive it. Go out and play in it, make a snowman. And just look around and there's so many things to be thankful for. Uh, I'm thankful for you guys, Ed and Cindy.
Thank you.
We got the triad here, the big three. Um, what'd you say, Ed? You thank you? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So anyway, we got a short triad, which is just fine. And let's see. Any miracles, any revelations, mystic revelations coming down? Any avatars overshadowing you, Ed, these days?
Well, we all have the overshadowing,
Yes, yes. Well, if you have a soul, it's all about being overshadowed.
and
Drink that.
I have a triangular network of overshadowing.
Elaborate on that, Brother Ed. What is your
Yeah, I was
triangular?
going to say the same thing. Tell us
Well,
more.
we have we all are part of a soul group that comes together during many incarnations. And those of us who seek to advance in consciousness attract to us beings through the chain of command. Let's say it's like the Navy; it has a chain of command. And in my particular group, there is the master who said once, he said he'd been with me through all my incarnations.
Well, isn't he the lucky one?
Yeah,
Or she?
he's the
Well,
one that showed up in my room when I lived in that apartment.
That
well,
is
I have
so
Cindy on
cool.
my team, so I'm really blessed.
I wish you would write your memoirs, Ed.
Yeah, write them memoirs. Write down those things that you feel important. And
Well, when I was in high school and college, we in different classes we had to write, and I wrote about things in my experience, and I wrote about people I knew and interesting people.
yeah,
That's neat.
awesome. I've been getting up and writing a few things. I think I passed out a few things to the group that I've written this week. Um,
Anything new?
Nothing new under the sun, Ed. It's just all in the way it's presented. You're the sum total of everything you have ever thought, said, done, and experienced. This is how you have become who and what you are. So now, what are you choosing to become? Something. Here's one. Join the Gathering of Lights project and help move our world into a state of greater awareness and connectedness. As you do, you will automatically increase your inner light and personal magnitude. Collectively, our voices will be heard above all chaos and confusion. Together, we can have it all: health, wealth, happiness, and longevity. We have a plan that will keep us all alive and in good health for 120 years. Remember, whatever we can conceive and believe we can achieve. Science and the Bible both agree on each of us reaching the 120-year mark. So why not you and me? Order my book, The Gathering of Lights, and find out how. That's what I send out to people that I that bug me on Facebook. I give them something that, hey, either come on in and be a part of something, or I'll give you something else to think about. Uh, so I had this guy. Well, what do you mean? Do we live 120 years old, or are we immortal? And I answered that question. We are genetically predisposed to live a maximum of 120 years without linking up with the planetary hierarchy or any advanced spiritual being, which we would call a master. When we hook up and form a direct link with one who has overcome death, then we can be endowed with power from on high that can sustain our physical bodies indefinitely if we so desire. You hold within yourself not only the keys to the kingdom of heaven, but also the keys to physical immortality. Now the question is, how will you access them? Just a few things like that I've sent out to get people to think, well, if I hold these keys, where are they? I don't see them. Let's see, I'm not jingling.
Yes, you are.
I got spurs that jingle, jangle, jingle. I've been reading this book, a compilation called Ponder on This. Have you
Yeah,
got?
I've got that. I've had it for a long time.
Yeah, me too. I've had it since probably 30, 40 years. It's really good. I've learned a lot about the dweller on the threshold. Uh, your you're not necessarily your lower self, but it's the sum total of your past, your faults, your evil nature. So that's just gives you a vague idea of what it is. It's an illusion, glamour, Maya, connectedness with your past and all your foibles that you have to confront as you enter into the portal of initiation. Anyway, it's got a lot of good stuff on that. And then I read about the etheric body. It's the scaffolding and framework for your physical body, made of energy currents. And it's really important that it's your vital body. It's important to keep it
All right.
vital and active and
That's the it supports your physical.
right. It's the transmitter of prana, composed of force currents. It's the mold, the archetype, the exact replica of your physical body, but on a more subtle level, subtle nature.
Well, when a spirit wants to make itself seen, it it covers its etheric body with what's called ectoplasm that he draws from the medium and the people in the room. They put on this covering so that you can see them.
Yeah, they're pretty clever that way, aren't they? Anyway,
I can tell you that I've been there and seen it.
well, I'm looking at you. I see your etheric body. That's where your aura, you see your aura emanating outside of your etheric body. Your physical body is just a shell. But yeah, I know you've had a lot of experiences with that in California.
Well, we have our physical body is subject to the pull of gravity.
Right. I don't mind gravity. The earth sucks. Anyway, it's a principle of attraction. Uh, what else? I placed a few books. I ordered 12 more. I'm gonna get more actively engaged in promoting this book here. Not much. I had to prepare for a class for my business that took 2 days, so um, just kind of taking it easy this week.
Well, you don't work in the rain anyway.
No, not really. So I work around here, get my book work all organized, do some reading and studying. Well, what's inspired me is you guys are reading other books than The Externalization of the Hierarchy, and Ken was. And I thought, well, I'll just read this. This is my bedside book now. I'll read it at night and then we'll study these chapters together. And I like it because it kind of gives you um, diversified interest in spiritual things.
Well, I was wondering, the other day, what is it about these groups that we start out a few years ago? Now we have about half the people we used to have.
I don't know. We used to have Andrew. The A team has left us. Adam and Andrew. I don't know where they went. Um,
And even on Sunday, when I first started going, there were like 24 people. Now there's like 11.
oh, you mean in the molecular group?
Yeah.
The Tibetan had the same problem. He had he started off. I read about it. He started off with 50, and it went down to 35, then down to 11, and just then he ended up with a handful that could stand the fire. Um, Adam's busy and doing other things. He goes to other different groups.
Yeah.
Andrew, I don't know where Andrew is. He's a high plains drifter.
Maybe he's down the yellow brick road.
Yeah, he's gone somewhere. But Ken,
I'm not I'm not able to attend the main molecular meetings usually because of the time that they're on now. He used to JJ used to spread it out a little more and when we first started having those molecular meetings, but now it's 10 a.m. and then 2 p.m.
right.
That's what they do now in Idaho time. It's 10 a.m.
Yeah,
and 2 p.m.
yeah, 10 and 2. So for me, that's in the middle of the sort of it's 12 a.m. and 4 a.m.
What time is it
And
there now?
it's 10:19 a.m. on Friday morning.
Okay, you're ahead of us then.
Oh yeah. I'm 15 hours ahead of you right
We're
now.
trying to keep up. We're pedaling as fast as we can.
I mean on the meetings that I don't get to unless I just happen to wake up and I'll come to a meeting, but
Yeah.
um I don't like to disturb my husband with an alarm. So
My wife doesn't bother my wife.
yeah, well he's uh,
She
he's
just
still working
she hits
today.
the alarm goes off and the lights go on.
Oh my.
Oh well,
Uh,
we have
yeah,
coffee set.
but I do watch the recordings, so when I
Oh,
can't
that's
get
good.
My
Uh,
dad used to say, well, if I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, my wife's got the bed made.
is
Yeah.
that a hint about something?
That's what he used to say. He used to say a lot of funny things.
What did he say? I missed part of that.
He said, if I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, my wife's got the bed made.
Oh yeah, that'll keep you up. Yeah, I come back to go to bed and it's made. I've got to watch TV. Well, seriously now, folks. Uh, we are on page 306. We're going to talk about the needed steps. And these are the needed steps for linking heaven and earth, humanity and the hierarchy, um, and drawing down new revelations and preparing the hearts, minds, and souls of humanity as we stand with massed intent. And I bet he used that phrase 15 times in the last 5 pages. How the hierarchy is standing with massed intent, waiting to be invoked by humanity, and humanity is standing with massed intent. Um, I thought it was interesting. He said, Today The hierarchy stands with massed intent. The cry of the masses is rising up to the very gates of Shambhala. It is stronger far than the demand of the spiritually oriented people, the disciples, the aspirants, and men of goodwill. They seem, from the viewpoint of the hierarchy, to be overcome by inertia, to be engrossed by their own theories and idealisms, and to be blind to the issues at stake. Can they be aroused? Can they stand with focused intent? Can they get off their lofty clouds as high plains drifters and come down and mingle with average humanity that is standing with massed intent, drawing down greater light and truth from the planetary hierarchy? This remains to be seen. Now we're going to talk about the needed steps. I'll read a bit here, and we'll just pass it back and forth. The needed steps. These steps are various in kind, though one in intent. The first step is to realize clearly what are the methods whereby the avatar can come and so reach humanity. These are the same methods, whether it is the avatar of synthesis working through the hierarchy or the avatar of coordination, as I might call him, working through humanity and representing the greater avatar upon the physical plane. You know, I think there's an avatar with just about any word that you can think of, probably the avatar of light, avatar of goodwill, avatar of peace, joy, happiness. You know, there's an avatar of destruction. So I think you just kind of pick what you want to be and put avatar next to it, and you'll be okay. A lot of avatars out there, but they're very high-minded spiritual beings in the fifth dimension. And the methods whereby avatars reach and influence their agents or those who respond to their note, vibration, and message are three in number. These are the three methods. One, this is the one we talk about a lot, the overshadowing, where there is a kinship in quality, in objective, and in nature. It is possible for the avatar to overshadow some member of the hierarchy, as in the case of the avatar of synthesis, or some disciple or aspirant where humanity is concerned, as in the case of a lesser avatar. This is done through meditation, through a directed stream of thought energy, the presentation of a thought form, and the evocation of the focused will of the one who is overshadowed. Focused will. There you go.
That's very key, the focused will.
Yeah, that's up there with focused intent, next to massed intent. All this proceeds rapidly where there is close cooperation between the latter, the sensitive responding disciple, and the avatar. The Christ is today in very close rapport with the avatar of synthesis, and this rapport will continue, becoming closer and closer until the full moon of June. He is giving all possible aid, as is his brother the Buddha. It is this which makes the coming full moon of May of such supreme importance. A group of masters and initiates who are specially related to the Christ department, as well as a group working under the Master M, or Moria, are endeavoring to respond to this overshadowing, which is only possible, even to them, when transmitted to them by the Christ. I talk here of mysteries. It will therefore be apparent to you that, as they succeed and become increasingly sensitive to and aware of this overshadowing energy of the great avatar, their disciples on earth can also, in a dim and faint way, become responsive to the ideas that are formulated in the mind of their particular master in response to avataric impression. Ponder on this. So, you know, we really do have an hierarchy. You know, there's the Christ, the teacher of teachers, who is also known as Lord Maitreya, and the Bodhisattva is the position that he fills, working directly under Sanat Kumara, who is, as you know, the Ancient of Days or the Lord of this world. So working under the Christ.
Well, there is a group that's not too often mentioned called the Nirmanakayas.
Yeah.
The Nirmanakayas are the ones that transmit the message from Shambhala to hierarchy.
Well, the many members of the hierarchy live in Shambhala, which is supposed to be an etheric island in the Gobi Desert.
In the second of etheric.
Yeah. So, you know, you have different levels of avatars, and the avatar of synthesis says can only come down as low as the mental plane, can't take a real dense physical body, but he overshadows other avatars, and then they kind of pass the message down and out and down and out and out it goes to an overshadowed member of humanity, which has happened many times in the past. So what are those guys called that you mentioned, Ed?
Nirmanakaya.
Nirmanakaya?
Nirmanakaya.
Yeah, say that backwards 3 times, Cindy. I'll give you $1.
It's
Kaya
essential.
Mia. Okay. And these guys, what do? They transmit revelations from Shambhala?
They're the sort of the conduit.
Yeah.
All right.
And the new group of world servers is the conduit between the hierarchy and regular humanity.
Right, and that's us.
Mm-hmm.
That's us. We get a play in there somewhere. Yep. Okay, well, Cindy, why don't you read a little bit about inspiration?
Okay, the next needed step is inspiration. This is more direct than overshadowing and more potent in result. Certain members of the hierarchy, and above all, the lesser avatars, are inspired from on high by the cosmic avatar and become at times direct expressions of his mind, his energy, and his plans. This is a spiritual correspondence to obsession. In the case of obsession, a man is taken possession of and inspired by some evil entity. In inspiration, there is no possession, but only what is called identical response, a very different thing. In the one case, the free will and intelligent understanding of the master or the disciple is enlisted on the side of the spiritual agent. The spiritual man, functioning as a soul, becomes the channel for forces, ideas, and activities other than his own, but which he gives full intuitive assent. It is all carried forward with full understanding and consciousness or method, process, and results. It is an act of free spiritual cooperation for the good of humanity in the work of a great spiritual force or being. The cooperation of the Master Jesus with the Christ is a case in point. In connection with the coming avatar, it may involve the cooperation of the Christ or of a kindred equal soul with a cosmic being or presence, taking place on still higher spiritual level of consciousness and producing an incredibly focused potency. In the case of obsession, the evil force enslaves the personality, which in the majority of cases is but a shell. Of this, Hitler is a case in point. This produces greater potency on the physical plane and on the astral plane. It is quicker and more immediate in result, but the lasting power is less, and the effects are relatively temporary.
If you ever saw Hitler speak, you swear he was possessed by some entity. He would just get up there and he was really dynamic and he would move the world. It was like Archimedes and give me a fulcrum and a place to make a stand and a staff long enough and I can move the world. He was like that. He moved everybody in the audience and he just stimulated their lower consciousness, gave them permission to be evil and do wicked things and rape, pillage, plunder, murder, in the name of the fatherland, and to rule the world unrighteously, unrighteous dominion.
This also sort of speaks to the fact of the that evil has the brothers of darkness have influence and potency on the astral and physical planes, but that's it, no higher.
Right.
Well, it's a little bit on the lower mental, but
Well, that's where the Tibetan says, beware of your lower psychisms, witchcraft, Ouija boards. Uh, no, some tarot cards. I have a set of tarot cards that were created by Rajneesh, and they're quite enlightening. But if you use them, I don't know, to conjure up spirits and things, I don't think that's a good thing.
Master R's tarot cards are interesting that he gave to Paul Foster Case. And yeah, and he did a book of meditations on them quite a long time ago, about 100 years ago. So
Yeah, and there are, spells that people can say, using different words, I suppose, mantras uh, that have a dynamic effect on the lower psyche.
mm,
Um, I guess voodoo would be a part of that. I don't dabble in it myself. Hardly have any Ouija boards.
hardly.
I once had a Ouija board that my grandmother gave me, but it didn't have the planchette thing that you move around. So I made one out of some thin plywood and I used thumbtacks underneath the three of them so it would slide around the board. And a friend of mine and I was living in an apartment. We tried it. I asked it to spell out names of who was here, and we were just barely touching it with our tips of our fingers. And that thing just took off, started spelling out, and it spelled out the name of someone that had spoken to me through the medium is one of my spirit guides.
Well, you were a surveyor, so you could get one of those little metal pendants that you could hang down. What do they call those little fobs or bobs?
Pendulum.
Yeah, pendulum. But I'm talking about, is that called a pendulum in surveying
Oh,
parlance?
it's called a plumb bob.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, a plumb bob. Yeah, that'll work, wouldn't it?
Could
So
be. I've never tried it.
you were getting some good feedback. I'd ask it where the buried treasures are.
Well, the thing is that the ones who normally would contact you through that are the denser ones that hang close to the frequency of the lowest frequency of spirit, and you wouldn't want to contact those.
No, the lower elementals.
Well, they're not elementals. They're people, criminals and drunks, and
Oh, yeah, you don't want to mess with them. No, you get some demonic possession. You don't want that. I was
No,
just,
no.
yeah, carry on. I was just making a comment about Hitler, how he was overshadowed by the dark side, obsession and possession. I think he was possessed when he spoke. Read on, Sister Cindy.
In the processes of inspiration, the lesser avatar, through his life and contacts in the three worlds, that's right, the lesser avatar can incarnate into the three worlds, will necessarily influence sensitive, spiritually oriented disciples and aspirants. And thus, the inspiration coming from the cosmic avatar becomes in time a group inspiration.
Ooh, mark that one.
Yeah. And therefore can be more safely handled. This group inspiration can happen today. If it does, there will then be a simultaneous appearing of the cosmic avatar, the world savior, in the person of the lesser avatar, and at the same time, a group savior, composed, underline that, composed of responsive disciples and world servers. Ponder again on this. A group savior. That's interesting.
Well, I've talked about that over and over.
Mm.
Together, we as a group, that's our role is to raise consciousness wherever we go. Uh,
That's kind of essentially what the molecule is.
yeah, that's
That's
the whole purpose. The
great.
whole purpose of the gathering of lights is to help assist the hierarchy in making that divine connection, that link between heaven and earth, create the kingdom of God on the earth,
Mm.
and just awaken people to its reality. It's not so much creating it as it is existing in it, consciously. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to, awaken and then be surrounded and connected to other people that whose lights are on and there's someone home. And, that's the whole idea is to increase their luminance, their inner
So
light.
the group inspiration can happen today.
Yeah. And that was almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Responsive disciples and world servers.
Yeah.
Well, but, it's sure hard to find them. It's hard to find them. I'm working with people in my region, and there are a lot of really good people, and they like reading this book on spiritual philosophy, but they haven't really struck out on their own. In California, I ran into quite a few people who had Alice Bailey books, quite a few.
Mhm.
Here, I hardly find any Alice Bailey books at the library or the bookstores.
No. In California, you go into any bookstore, you'll find Alice Bailey books.
Yeah, the Bodhi tree.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I was used to. And then when I came here to Perth and went into some of the bookstores that were here, there was just, really nothing. So that's
There's
when
quite, quite a bit. There's quite a bit of Alice Bailey's study is in New Zealand.
yes, but um, that's when I bought Ambrosium, the bookshop I ran for 15 years. Immediately uh, started getting in a big esoteric section with Alice Bailey and Blavatsky and all the, esoteric authors. And people were just hungry for it, really.
Yeah, that's the key. They're hungry and they recognize good stuff when they see it or when they hear it or read it.
In my advertisements, when I ever started advertising the store, I would have the name of the store, Ambrosium, and then its little logo, and then a little catchphrase underneath that said, an esoteric resource for the serious seeker.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that, and that just, when I was trying to think of what I was going to do with the whole advertising thing, that just ammo came in very, very strongly.
And
Oh,
what was the name of your store?
ambrosium, the
Ambrose?
nectar, the nectar of the gods.
It's like ambrosia. Oh, it's an ambrosium.
Yeah, which is nectar of the gods, which is what esoteric,
Right.
the ageless wisdom is the nectar of the gods, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as I'm concerned.
And it Ambrosium started with an A and ended with a UM, and I incorporated the symbol of Om in the logo.
Oh, now you're getting deep, Cindy, deep.
I know. So, but so many people commented that that's what
Ambrosia.
saw that esoteric resource for the serious seeker,
Right.
and that drew them to the shop. So that
And
was
what's happening now in that same idea? Do
Wait,
you, did that continue?
that is, and other people started, other shopkeepers started picking across the area, the general area. Started even down south in Denmark. I have had a lot of shopkeepers or shop owners come in the shop. You can always tell who they are as they're, writing things down as they,
right. Taken.
yeah. And yeah, so I think an awareness of esoteric um, literature kind of came from that in this area.
Well, I remember that ambrosium because that's just all the different. And anytime you hear a word that has three ahs in it, that's a powerful sound of God. Even God, Amen. God is a ah. Allah, Shambhala, Abracadabra. I could go on and on and on, you know. Um, Powerful words. Ambrosium. Cool. All right. So, group inspiration. There could be a group of avatars overshadowing a new group of world servers or a molecular group. So you'd have a group and a group. That'd even be better. We'd have a party. Hey. Well, speaking of parties, Ed, why don't you read the next paragraph? It's a longie.
Okay. In this way, you will note carefully there is established a direct link chain from humanity via the hierarchy to Shambhala. The hierarchy is working at the establishing of this chain, aided by their disciples. The demand for the cooperation of all aspirants is now going forth because the times are urgent. If this relationship can be established, and it will be a sad day for humanity if it cannot, then the third method of avataric expression becomes possible: appearance or manifestation.
That's
Every possible step has been taken by the hierarchy to enable the avatar, the coming one, to appear. What these steps are cannot be declared here. Only some questions suggesting possibilities are permissible. Think you that his body of manifestation is already on earth, waiting to be overshadowed, inspired, and used at the right time, as was the vehicle of the Master of Jesus Christ? There are those who say that it is waiting and has been waiting for 22 years. It is possible that there will be a sudden descent of a Prince of Light and Peace to change present conditions by the effectiveness of his radiance and his message. There are those who look for him to suddenly appear, and they number millions of expectant people. Some say he is already on his way. Is it possible that this Wesak festival will see him approach nearer to the hierarchy and make a contact with them? Some say it will take place. Can the massed intent of humanity evoke response and lead to the appearance on the earth of the lesser avatar? Some say nothing can stop it. Prophecy, expectation, and the present time cycle testified to the opportunity. This possible dual event, the coming of the avatar of synthesis to hierarchy and of the lesser avatar, his reappearance to humanity, can be a probable happening if the world disciples and aspirants measure up to the opportunity.
Okay, so we have the
Well,
avatar.
obviously, it's been 100 years, and apparently they haven't measured up.
Well, that's because we may not have been there then, but we're here now. I don't know who was there then. I know the Tibetan worked with his group, his ashram. They were a challenge. Maybe, you know, maybe we're saved. We're saved till the last. We're saved till now. They were held back until this very moment. Because I tell you what, we are determined to be a part of this awakening and this reception of greater light and truth, aren't we, Cindy?
I reckon so.
Oh, you darn tootin', Fig Newton.
Well, time for those at the higher levels doesn't exist the same as it is for us. It kind of relates to something that Einstein said, that when you approach the speed of light, in other words, your frequency increases and time begins to stand still. And it reminds me of something that a speaker from Spirit said. He said, to you, this may seem like an hour, but to me, it's only 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, depends on if you're in pain. 10 minutes can seem like an hour. So this dual event that you just read about, this possible dual event, the coming of the avatar of synthesis to the hierarchy and of the lesser avatar, his representative, to humanity, can be a probable happening if the world disciples and aspirants measure up to the opportunity. So again, we have a multi-level of enlightenment there. You got the avatar
So,
of synthesis, the hierarchy, lesser avatar, and humanity. Or the lesser avatar, group of world servers in humanity. What's that, Cindy?
so presumably this Wesak he's talking about is the one in May of 1941.
Right. And this is 22 years after the conclave of 1925, when they would have made some major decisions and spiritual inroads that set in motion certain events, a current of events that is probably gonna, end this year, because here we are, 2025, another conclave coming up every 100 years. Probably won't happen January 1st, but probably at the Wesak Festival.
I don't think humanity as a whole will even have any inkling of it for centuries.
No, but there'll be a large number that is. There's a lot of material out today on 2025.
Yeah, but does your barber know about it?
Who?
Your barber?
If I tell him, he might. I'll bet there's a couple thousand people on the planet, maybe more, maybe up to 5,000 people that know about 2025 or the hierarchy or.
Well, my intuition tells me that humanity is going to be squeezed through a small hole before they wake up.
Humanity
And
what?
the humanity is going to be, symbolically speaking, squeezed through a small hole.
Yeah, well, we
And
went.
the current events are really prove that to me.
Yeah, well, there are things happening around the world today that are creating world tension, if that's what you're talking about.
I'm thinking that the people are going to have to be crying out for help.
Yeah, well, they are. A lot of people I know are. So I think there's a lot of invoking going on. They may not know the great invocation, but there's a lot of people looking for help. You know, God, where are you? You know, kind of thing. Help us,
Lord,
help us.
Lord, please buy me a Mercedes Benz.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you, do, do you guys think that it's possible that the lesser avatar is already incarnated here?
probably. Yeah, but
Well, I don't think that he's made himself known on the TV or the radio.
he can take a physical form, a human form.
Well, the information that I have is that he is in a secret place in Peru, that he won't make himself known until humanity is ready.
Well,
Interesting.
okay. That's a possibility. You got the writer from the secret place working with what's that other guy? Cindy? The three of
You
them?
talking about, well, there's the avatar of, I think he's equating the lesser avatar with the avatar of coordination. And then there's the Christ,
Yeah, below
the
him.
the actual Christ,
Right.
and and then the avatar of synthesis.
No, below
That
him. The
yeah,
avatar of synthesis works
the
hand in hand
avatar.
with the Christ. They're, in fact, I think the avatar of synthesis might even occupy a position a little more advanced than the Christ.
Well, he can't come. Oh, he is. Yes, definitely. He's a cosmic avatar.
Right.
It,
He's a big wheel.
yeah, yeah, and he cannot come down any further than
The mental
the
plane.
mental plane. That's it. That's why if he's going to have a physical representative on the earth, then it's going to have to be a lesser avatar that is in connection with
Well, yeah.
as a
Um,
rapport with him.
okay, I'm talking about the guy that works with the writer from the secret place.
The Lord of Liberation.
Yes, the Lord of Liberation. That's what I'm thinking about. Okay. um, but the writer is would be incarnated. I think he's around. He may or may not know who he is. Uh,
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Hmm.
but I hold with the idea, and not just because I was there when, Joe and I were brothers in arms when this molecular concept descended. And we both got it pretty much simultaneously. He was writing about it, but I saw it. And once you see it, once you get the molecular concept and creating different molecules, I mean, your mind just begins to explode. I think that's probably the one of, if not the greatest revelation of our generation, is creating a human molecule. I think
Well, I
that's
had kind of a download that it was an experience that I've never had before that, and I haven't had it since like that. But it was in 1996, February 22nd, 1996.
ooh,
And
4 p.m.
well, yeah, I remember exactly where I was. I was actually in the bathtub,
Ah,
but it it just the experience was and I've never talked really publicly about this, but in that download, and this was before I ever read The Immortal. This was 1996. I didn't even discover the Immortal book, and subsequently JJ and everybody, until late 1999. No, no, 98, 98.
Yeah,
And so
right.
this was way before that, way before that. But this, in this download, there were things that were told to me that were going to happen, and I was going to be, you know, in a group, blah blah blah. Anyway, I don't want to go into the details of it, but the what I recognized several years later when I came across the molecular concept and the molecular relationship and the forming of a molecular group was what this was talking about, and and it was part of this download. So that to me, it showed me that the path I had to go down.
Once you understand, that's amazing. And once you get, well, you got to realize that in the spiritual plane, the kingdom of God, all the players or members are connected. They're like of one heart, one mind, one purpose, one vision. Where down here, everyone is scattered. And the Tibetan talks about people as particles of energy. And what do particles of energy do? They scatter and then they gather. And to create a human molecule is just bringing human particles together and linking them, attaching them. And as people come in to a group, it could be a group of 7 or 12. I mean, there are different molecular arrangements, they're numerous, but they all start off with triads, because you can take triads and unite them and combine them and blend them and bind them and bond them in different ways, shapes, and forms. Like to make a sugar molecule is 24 atoms. Um, but then you realize, if we're going to create heaven on earth, there has to be some kind of orderly arrangement of people, something that bonds them together. Because if you don't go through some kind of a bonding uh, synthesizing um, ordinance, then people just come and go. They just come and go. They won't link. They'll never link. They're never linked. But in the atomic world, atoms form bonds. They form covalent bonds. The electrons bond, and atoms share electrons, and they bond by forming these really strong, solid covalent bonds. In our water, the bonds are kind of loose, but they're still bonded. Hydrogen and oxygen are still bonded. And so in the human kingdom, creating a human molecule, the atoms, human atoms, have to link. We have to form these not covalent bonds, but covenant bonds. We covenant with each other. And we've done that to a degree in this triad. And that is that I covenant to always be your friend, to always be in your corner, to never abandon you. And of course, death is a form of abandonment. So you got to stop dying, because if you die, you have abandoned me, and I won't let that happen. That's just, and
Well, that's not really totally true because, you know, a group that's bonded together, even though your body may pass away, you're still in the group.
yeah,
Well, I believe that a lot of us have been together before,
well, we have, and we
and
won't stay alive.
have incarnated together
We
before.
have this whole, and we'll attract people that will come in that will have a strong sense of association with. Yeah, it's okay. If you're dead, you might want to. be a member of the Holy Ghost faction over there
Well,
and give us some enlightenment. But I prefer that if I prefer it if you're here, Ed, I can see you and it's more a tangible association.
let me know if when I pass over, I'm going to haunt you.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, don't be in any hurry. Don't be bring it on, but don't go over there. Don't be in a hurry to get over there and haunt me.
You
Stay
see,
stay here and bother me.
you see your table starts floating around in the room.
Yeah, yeah. Well, show me where the gold is buried, and we'll use it to build the kingdom. Um, and one day it will be required of us uh, to liquidate. I have a lot of things I could liquidate. Heck, I've got silver bullet. Could liquidate.
Those are the anchors that hold you to this dense frequency of
Yeah.
Earth.
Well, I'm held here by silver and gold. No, my vision, my purpose has anchored me here, Ed. I've got a reason to be here if I was just living in a friggin' tent down by the river. But I don't mind accumulating things that I can liquidate if and when I have to and use it to, maybe go on a speaking tour, maybe publish a book, maybe open a center, a rejuvenation center. I had a vision of opening a rejuvenation center in Beverly Hills, had the plans all drawn up, and all I needed was a little bit of capital, and I almost had it, but not quite. And we were going to do everything. We're going to have life coaching, uh, support groups, massage, French herbal body wraps where we wrap you in a cocoon and you sweat out all the poisons. We were going to do that. We had a whole list of services we were going to offer. We are going to have a health bar, you know, um, with vitamins and minerals and smoothies. But it didn't happen. But you know, it could happen. Anyway, that was an idea. As it was, I ended up on a mountain and did everything I wanted to do in Beverly Hills up on this mountain. So it manifested, but in a different way than I had envisioned. But the results were basically the same, not as grandiose. So, the the uh, the fact that we are in this particular period of time, getting ready for 2025, when I'm convinced there's going to be some spiritual dynamic outpouring of power, uh, and we will be endowed with it if we are ready to receive it. Or let's put it this way, we will be given as much as we can handle. And uh, as a group, we can handle a lot more energy than any one person can on their own because we can take this energy and diffuse it through the group. That's why Jesus had his 12 apostles. The energy is tremendous amount of energy, spiritual energy, pure electrical energy flowing through him. And he used his 12 apostles as a medium to absorb and hold and release this energy field. So, we can hold a lot more together than anyone can on their own. And that's another value of creating a human molecule. And it will be infused with a greater measure of light and power and love, which will be demonstrated. You won't know how much you love someone until you have to sacrifice for them. Then, hey, whatever I have is yours. So, we're really living in a very phenomenal, blessed period of time. And the fact that we have this knowledge, and not only do we have knowledge, but it's being augmented and amplified by studying these fabulous blue books. It's really exquisite, I think. What do you think, Cindy?
Absolutely. I think the same thing.
I think, yeah, and I know Ed does. Ed talks a
Well,
lot
yeah.
about how he's going to operate after he's gone, but I guarantee Ed doesn't want to leave because this is where the action is. This is,
Well, that's where the action is. But I'm 86 years old, and I don't feel as invigorated as I did when I was 30.
well,
When I was 30, I joined a group, and a lot of those people have passed over, but I still feel I'm part of that group. And that lady, I last month I took a 15-day trip through about 5 different states. She was a lady I dated back in 1971, and we're still close friends, and we're still part of that group.
yeah, well,
That's great.
86, you got another 20, good 20 years left. You don't think you have that many bad habits, do you?
No, I don't have that many bad habits, but I can have myself stuffed by a taxidermist, and I'll have them. Have this body fastened to this chair, and you can see me on Zoom.
Well, there will be younger generations looking for sources, and to them, we would be an avatar. It's kind of like on Star Trek when they're into the future and they have to come back to the planet, and they are the UFOs. They're in advanced spaceships and that have the cloak of invisibility. And he says, you know what, we can't. If we were to reveal who we were to these mortals around here, they would want to stomp us out. They'd think we were from who knows where, extraterrestrials. So, you only have to be a certain percentage ahead of the masses to be considered a genius. So, yeah,
Well, we could proclaim ourselves to be geniuses, but then we'd have to be able to do things that prove that we're geniuses.
well, that's the thing. You don't have to proclaim anything. In fact, that's just ego. You don't, you just are, you just be, you just radiate. Or Cindy, you're magnetic. Men radiate, they draw to them. You just by being who you are, you have an effect on the people around you. And then if you have a something to offer them, preferably something that you've written, boy, when I hand people this book I wrote, they go, "You wrote this?" Yeah, my spare time. Shucks, nothing to it. Gee whiz. But they look at it like, wow. Um,
Well, you're going to have a test and make them prove they read it.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Well, I ask them, are you reading it? Well, I'm starting to. I got more time in February. Oh boy. I was talking to a gal yesterday on the phone from one of my banks, and one of her coworkers ordered it, and she said, "Oh yeah, you're the one that wrote that book." I said, "Yeah, you can look it up on Amazon." Well, tell me about it. So I give her, just a little rundown. She said, "Well, she said, I'm really into this stuff. I'm really into this spiritual, not, she didn't use the word new age, but I'm looking for books on self-help and improvement and stuff like that." I said, "Well, you're going to love this book." She said, "Well, I'm going to order it today." So I got her number. I'll check back with her. Um, but there are a lot of people out there that are looking, and if you give them something that came from you through you, that really has a dynamic impact. Or something that you can stand strongly behind. A lot of people never read the Book of Mormon, but they have a lot of energy behind it, and they influence a lot of people with that book. Bible, Book of Mormon, Dianetics. If you haven't written anything, there's lots of stuff out there you can get behind that you believe in.
Well, I've found ways to say it to people. There's a fellow that comes to the senior center, and he's from somewhere up north, from a Norwegian background, and he was a missionary in the Philippines, and he's I start telling him things that he probably doesn't believe, and I give him examples and what he does believe that prove what I'm trying to tell him.
Well, that's good. That's good, Ed, because you have so much information that it's going to leak out of you one way or another.
Yeah, I have to
You can't contain it.
I have to
You're
scrape it up.
incontinent. You're incontinent, Ed. You're spiritually, verbally incontinent. It's leaking out. That's a good thing.
Well, like the Master Moria said, advice for people who don't want it is like throwing stones.
Yeah. It's like teaching a pig to sing. It wastes your time and annoys the pig. Okay, well, we've had a good class, just the three of us. Any comments there in closing, Cindy?
Uh, well, I'm just anxious for all this to come into reality and be. So be it. Let light and love and power restore the planet on Earth.
Right. And as we've been told,
Why don't
in
you
each
say that
age,
again, Cindy, and then we'll wrap up our meeting.
in each age, it takes a time for the transition, and it's not instantaneous like we'd like.
Yeah, but there are sparks along the way. There are things
Right.
that are more visible. But yeah, it's an evolution. It's the journey. But there are certain steps that we take where we see concrete results. These are the four keys to creation that I use. Clarity, you got to clear your mind and your body, number one. You have to have a vision of what you want to create. And then you have to set a goal around that vision with time constraints, beginning, middle, end. And then you have to create a plan, a game plan, a strategy plan around that goal. And then you have to be able to measure concrete results. And so we're at a place where we're going to start seeing concrete results. And Cindy, that's what you're talking about. Look around you this week and look around this week and notice the concrete results. They're there.
Absolutely.
They're there. The fact that you're here is a concrete result. The three of us are a concrete result. All right, Cindy, why don't you wrap it up for us? You can say the
Okay.
last phrase of that great invocation if you want.
This is the affirmation of a disciple.
Oh, good.
I like that. We are points of light within a greater light. We are strands of loving energy within the stream of love divine. We are a point of sacrificial fire focused within the fiery will of God, and thus we stand. We are a way by which men may achieve. We are a source of strength, enabling them to stand. We are beams of light shining upon their way, and thus we stand. And standing thus revolve and tread the ways the ways of men and know the ways of God. And thus we stand. Oh, oh, oh.
I like how you made that. I like that third person plural. We.
A we is a we.
We is a we. We is sparks of sacrificial fire, focused within the fiery mind of God.
That's my favorite line in that whole thing.
Yeah. Sparks of sacrifice. We're sparks. We're on fire. Yeah. Yes. Look around. Look around. We'll see the results coming to fruition. Well, okay. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So we'll have company here, so we probably won't have a meeting, but we can stay in touch on Facebook.
Okay, see you guys in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks. Stay in touch in the astral plane.
Love you guys.
Love you. Love you, Cindy. Love you,
Bye.
Love, love, love.
Ed.
Makes the world go round.